So do you believe everybody is creative? Here are some things that I do to be more creative. Most people say they aren't creative, as if it's something that you're born with. This video will convince you that creativity is a muscle to be trained like anything else. Welcome to my channel, Something from Ed, where I talk about my experience of living in France as an American, as well as trying to spread some positivity and good vibes on the creative process. If that's up your street, consider giving it a like or subscribe. It's always appreciated. So without sounding too woo-woo-y, there are relationships between self-love and creativity. So think of it this way. When you love something, you immerse yourself in it. The hours just fly by and you're lost in the process. Sometimes you even forget to eat or drink. Love is at the center of this creative process. You're enjoying the creation unfold. You're not being a perfectionist about it. You're loving the process of, say, taking photos, not the actual photos themselves. You love the process of video editing, not the actual final product. You love the process of painting, not the actual painting itself. You get the idea. The end result isn't the goal. You can always revise after a rough draft. Okay, let's get to some actual brass tacks here. First one, constraints. Constraints are your best friend. With whatever medium you're working with, video, art, writing, please give yourself constraints. For an example, if you're writing, tell yourself that you have to write 2 crappy pages a day. The key here is working this creative muscle and lowering the barrier to entry. It doesn't have to be Yeats prose, just get 2 pages done. Another tip, say if you're video editing or writing music, tell yourself just do it for 2 minutes and then you can quit. More often than not, after the first 2 minutes, I'm enjoying the video editing process. And the last constraint-based tip I have is my favorite, and it's by one of my favorite authors called Neil Gaiman, who basically tells himself, okay, I'm gonna sit at my desk, I don't have to write, but I also can't do anything else. No phone, no reading, no internet distractions. After 5 minutes of doing nothing, boredom seeps in, and he says he always finds himself writing is better than doing nothing. So sometimes with the things that are close to us, it feels comfortable to not give ourselves the permission to be creative. There's that part of the brain that is self-critical, that always questions your own motives. So here's an exercise that I do, and it's brilliant in its simplicity. So all you need is a pen and paper, and you need to start writing or drawing, or a blend of both, for 10 minutes. You can write about anything. Actually, let's make it more simple. When you start this exercise, don't have anything in your head. Start from carte blanche. If your pen stops writing for more than 10 seconds, you're doing it wrong. The goal here is to get these thoughts out of your head and onto a piece of paper so that you can see them rather than them bouncing around inside your head. The next tip I have is your environment. You have to enjoy the process of creating. And part of enjoying this process, I believe, is that the environment is such an important factor in the creative process. If I'm in the same work environment for too long, and if I'm in the same work environment for too long, I start to build up long-term habits I'm not even aware of that can be detrimental to my creative process. For example, I associate doom scrolling social media when I'm at my home desk. So if you can change your location, you change your habits. One of the most simple barriers to entry. And remember, in this whole process, it's normal, it's common to not believe in yourself. And at a certain point, I had this revelation where I realized, you know, not every day I'll have the same motivation or believe in myself. Instead, I just have to do the steps that I committed to achieving to get me through this self-doubt. And that mental device works for me. Follow your intuition. There's no path set out for you here. It's your job to create your own path. So of course, if you want something you've never had before, you have to do something you've never done before. When we ask how I can be creative, I think we all want a formula or a roadmap. A plus C equals D. And as humans, I think we're wired for that. And I've never found that. Quite truthfully, you learn as you go. You try something, you see if it works. If it doesn't work, then you don't quit, you just reiterate from there. Reinvention is the fun part. You have to be aware of that voice in your head that tells you to check social media or distract itself to get that dopamine hit when you haven't found a solution to your problem immediately. And at all costs, obey your curiosity. Follow your curiosity, even if it isn't something that's immediately actionable. Following a whim may allow you to connect dots down the road, reading an article that catches your eye, or attending a trade show that piques your interest. Creativity is connecting the dots. If you have more dots to connect, then creativity flourishes. And lastly, and this is maybe a one-to-one advice, you always have to remember that your creativity is important. You start to see how we're all connected in art, and art is necessary at all times, but it's sustenance for the extreme emotions that we all feel in life. A loved one passes away, and you can't comprehend how you'll make it through this grief. Has anyone else felt this way? And so you turn to music and movies and art, which are some of the best creative mediums which you can only express these sorts of emotions. Having almost like a childlike mentality is so key to this whole process as well. No one teaches us how to play when we're kids. It's so intuitive. We don't just build Lego buildings out of scrap thinking I'm gonna be an amazing architect. You're a kid, you just create. When you feel creativity hit, stop what you're doing and focus on it. Make a note, jot it down, get your ideas out of your head. Don't tell yourself, oh, I'll come back to this, I'll write it down later. Those ideas always evaporate and do not come back. So now I open up the discussion to you. What things do you do to maintain creativity? As always, I'll chat to you guys in the comments. Thanks for watching. Peace.